Point 1. You're in charge of your feelings, don't let them control you. Dr. Wayne W. Dyer has a simple yet profound message for us all: happiness is not something you stumble upon or earn. It's not a prize waiting for you at the end of a long journey. Instead, happiness is a state of mind, a lens through which you view your world. It's like slipping on a pair of glasses that paint everything you see with shades of joy and satisfaction. You might be wondering, but what about when life throws a curveball? How can I be happy then? This is where the power of control comes into play. Dr. Dyer believes that while we can't dictate the events that occur in our lives, we can certainly control our reactions to them. Let's say someone throws an insult your way. You have the power to either let it upset you or to shrug it off, refusing to let it steal your joy. The insult is the event, but your reaction? That's all you. Dr. Dyer's own life story serves as a powerful testament to this belief. He spent many years in an orphanage and foster homes, situations that many would deem unhappy. But he chose to see these experiences in a positive light, focusing on the lessons he learned and the resilience he developed. He made the conscious decision to be happy, regardless of his external circumstances. This choice was entirely in his hands. Now, this doesn't mean it's a walk in the park. Shifting your perspective and choosing happiness takes work and practice. It's like learning to ride a bike or strumming a guitar for the first time. Initially, it's tough and you might stumble or hit a sour note. But with time and practice, it becomes second nature. You learn to balance on the bike, to strum the right chords, to choose happiness. So, how can you put this into practice in your own life? Begin by acknowledging that you have control over your reactions. When something happens, take a moment to pause and think about your response. Instead of reacting on impulse, make a conscious choice. Choose to see the situation in a positive light, to find the silver lining, to choose happiness. Remember, happiness isn't something you find or achieve. It's a state of mind, a perspective, a choice. And that choice is entirely in your hands. As Dr. Dyer puts it, happiness is the way. So, choose your path wisely. Point 2. Don't limit yourself, aim for the stars. Imagine this: you're a person with no boundaries, no limits. You're not held back by your circumstances or your own beliefs. You're self-motivated, self-reliant, and you make the most of what you have. Sounds pretty good, right? This is the idea of being a person with zero limits, and it's all about breaking free from the constraints we often put on ourselves. Let's break it down a bit. Picture 3 types of people. The first is held back by their circumstances, the second by their own beliefs, and the third is our person with zero limits. This third person doesn't let anything, whether it's their situation or their own thoughts, hold them back. They're driven by their own motivation, not by what others think of them. But there's more to it than that. This third person has also mastered the art of creating happiness. They can turn even the most ordinary situations into moments of pure joy. These are called peak experiences, moments where you're completely absorbed and enjoying what you're doing. You're living in the moment. For example, waiting in line at the grocery store might seem boring, but a person with zero limits can turn this into a peak experience. They might find joy in watching the people around them, like a child's laughter or an elderly woman's determination to do her shopping. You can apply this principle to any situation. Stuck in traffic? Instead of getting frustrated, use that time to do something you enjoy. Listen to a podcast, plan your weekend, or even learn a new language. You're not wasting time, you're using it to your advantage. Here's another key point: our thoughts affect our feelings. If you're thinking negative thoughts, you're likely to feel negative too. But the opposite is also true. Positive thoughts can lead to positive feelings. So, if you're feeling bored or annoyed, you can change your mood by thinking about happy memories or things that make you feel good. So, how do you become a person with zero limits? First, figure out which type of person you are now. Then, start working towards becoming a person with zero limits. This means changing your mindset, focusing on the positive, and making the most of what you have. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it. After all, the only limits you have are the ones you set for yourself. Point 3. Understand yourself to communicate better with others. In Happiness is the Way, Dr. Wayne W. Dyer talks about the power of self-perception and how it shapes our interactions with others. He believes that the way we see ourselves plays a big role in how we communicate and how others react to us. To make his point, Dr. Dyer tells a story about a time he was shopping and was treated rudely by a store worker. Instead of putting up with the bad behavior, he decided to leave and ask for help from a different employee. This shows how important it is to stand up for ourselves and not let others treat us badly. But, Dr. Dyer also says that it's not helpful to blame ourselves when people cross our personal boundaries. Sometimes, people might take our shy behavior or the way we talk as a sign that they can disrespect us. According to Dr. Dyer, the real issue is how we see ourselves. If we don't think our ideas or interests are important, other people might start to think the same way. To fix this, Dr. Dyer suggests we should find and challenge any negative beliefs we have about ourselves, like thinking, "I'm a bad speaker," or "I'm not good enough." He believes we have the power to change these negative thoughts into positive ones. One positive belief Dr. Dyer suggests is, "I am not equal to any labels." This means that we are more than just our bodies, which are always changing, and more than our thoughts, which we can watch and judge. It also means that our jobs and relationships, while they are important, don't completely define who we are. Things like our gender, where we're from, and where we live don't determine our value either. To help us really understand this belief, Dr. Dyer suggests an exercise created by Professor Milton Kavinsky. The exercise asks us to write about ourselves without using any labels. This might be hard, but it can give us a better understanding of how we see ourselves and help us build a better relationship with ourselves. And when we have a better relationship with ourselves, we can communicate better with others. Point 4. Don't wait for confidence, make it happen. Don't sit around waiting for confidence to show up, make it happen yourself. This powerful statement is a call to action, encouraging us to take charge of our lives instead of waiting for confidence to magically appear. So, what does it mean to wait for confidence? It's like waiting for the perfect moment or the right opportunity. It's a kind of procrastination where we blame our inaction on things outside of our control. We might say things like, "I'll start when I feel more confident," or "I'll do it when I'm ready." But this is a trap because that moment of readiness or confidence might never come if we just keep waiting for it. Confidence isn't something that just happens to us. It's not a trait we're born with or something that we get without effort. It's an attitude, a mindset that we actively create. It's like a muscle that we build and strengthen through practice and repetition. For example, if you think you're not good at public speaking, you'll probably avoid opportunities to speak in public, which just reinforces your belief that you're not good at it. But if you challenge this belief and push yourself to speak in public, despite your fears and insecurities, you'll gradually build your confidence in this area. This doesn't mean you won't stumble or make mistakes along the way. In fact, making mistakes is a crucial part of the process. It's through making mistakes and learning from them that we grow and improve. There's a story about a professor who was an expert in East Asian religions. He had a chance to meet with a Zen master and was excited to share all his knowledge about Buddhism. But the Zen master, instead of having a scholarly discussion, just poured tea for the professor. He kept pouring even when the cup was full, causing the tea to overflow. The Zen master's message was clear: like the overflowing cup, the professor's mind was so full of his own knowledge and ideas that there was no room for anything new. This story reminds us that being an expert or having all the answers isn't the key to growth and learning. On the contrary, it's our willingness to make mistakes, to be vulnerable, and to learn from our experiences that builds our confidence and helps us grow. In conclusion, the statement, "Don't wait for confidence to arrive, make it happen," is a call to take action, to challenge our limiting beliefs, and to see failure as a stepping stone to growth and self-improvement. It's a reminder that confidence isn't something that we wait for, but something that we actively create through our actions and attitudes. Point 5. Forget the past, live in the present. In Happiness is the Way, Dr. Wayne W. Dyer shares a powerful message about living in the present and not letting our past control our future. He uses a simple analogy to explain this. Picture a boat sailing through the water. As it moves forward, it leaves a wake behind. But that wake doesn't steer the boat. It's just a record of where the boat has been, not where it's going. In the same way, our past is just that, past. It doesn't have to steer our present or future unless we let it. Dr. Dyer goes on to talk about the importance of personal responsibility and forgiveness in letting go of the past. He points out that it's easy to blame our parents or our upbringing for our current problems. Maybe we feel like we missed out on things as kids, like trips to amusement parks or dance classes. But while our early experiences can shape us, they don't have to define us. As adults, we have the power to make our own choices and follow our own dreams. If we didn't do that in the past, it's probably because it wasn't as important to us as we thought it was. Forgiveness is another big part of letting go of the past. Some people think they can only be happy once they've gotten back at those who have hurt them. But Dr. Dyer says this is a mistake. Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us, not the person who hurt us. It takes our focus away from our goals and fills us with negative emotions. Instead, we should try to find peace by forgiving those who have wronged us. That doesn't mean we're saying what they did was okay. It just means we're choosing not to let their actions control our feelings and behavior. Dr. Dyer also reminds us that other people's opinions of us are often based on their own experiences and biases, not on who we really are. We're not defined by our past actions, the labels we or others have put on us, or what other people think of us. What really matters is the choices we make right now. Dr. Dyer shares a survey from 2016 by Allianz, an insurance company, that found that 1 in 3 people regretted some major life decisions. This shows that a lot of people let their past mistakes or missed opportunities affect their happiness and potential for the future. But Dr. Dyer says we can choose to let go of these regrets and focus on making the most of the present. Point 6. Do what you want, not what you're supposed to do. Let's chat about the shoulds in life. You know, those things that society, your family, or your friends say you should do. Like, you should own a house, have a fancy car, or a high-powered job. These are the yardsticks often used to measure success. But, are they really what make us happy? Wayne W. Dyer has a different take on this. He says, forget about what others think you should do. Instead, focus on what you want to do. What makes your heart sing? What are your passions? These are the things that should guide your life, not societal expectations. Think about kids for a moment. They're naturally curious and follow their interests without a care for what others might think. A kid might spend hours watching bugs because it's fascinating to them, not because someone told them to. But as they grow up, they're often told to stop questioning, to stop exploring, and to start conforming. Their natural curiosity gets squashed. Dyer suggests we should be more like kids. Follow your interests. Do what you love. Don't worry about what others might think. If you love painting, then paint. Not because it might make you famous or rich, but because it brings you joy. When you do what you love, success becomes a side effect, not the goal. So, the takeaway here is to forget about what society says you should do. Don't let external factors determine your happiness or success. Be like a kid. Follow your passions. Do what you love. Create a life that's based on what you truly want. That's the real key to happiness and success. Point 7. Your thoughts matter, not what others think. The main point we're driving at here is this: don't let other people's opinions steer your life. Instead, let your own thoughts, beliefs, and passions be your compass. This idea is perfectly embodied in the life of Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. Dr. Dyer was a big shot in the academic world, a university professor with tenure. That's a job a lot of folks in his field would kill for. It came with a secure future and a lot of respect. But, he had this itch to write, a passion he just couldn't ignore. So, despite the safety and prestige of his professorship, he decided to chase his dream of writing. When he broke the news to his colleagues and students, they were skeptical, even critical. They questioned his decision, doubting whether another self-help book could make a splash in an already crowded market. But Dr. Dyer didn't let their doubts sway him. Switching from academia to publishing wasn't a walk in the park. Dr. Dyer stumbled and faced obstacles. But he clung to a belief from the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Indian scripture. It says that it's better to mess up on your own path than to perfectly follow someone else's. This belief kept him going, because he knew his unique ideas were worth sharing. Even though he was a newbie in the publishing world, Dr. Dyer didn't let that stop him. When his publisher wouldn't print more copies of his book because 2,000 were still unsold, he took a gamble. He borrowed money and bought all the remaining copies himself. Then he hit the road, doing local media events and handing out his books. His hard work paid off when he got invited to The Tonight Show, and his book became a bestseller. In less than a year, Dr. Dyer made more money than he had in all his years as a professor. But the interesting thing is, he wasn't in it for the money. He was driven by his love for writing and his desire to share his ideas. This shows that it's all about the journey, not the destination. When you're motivated by passion, success will come when it's meant to. So, to wrap it up, Dr. Dyer's story is a powerful reminder to follow your own path, no matter what others think. It's a nudge to remember that your thoughts and beliefs are what really count, and that success comes from being true to yourself and your passions. Point 8. Conclusion. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey. It is not something to be pursued, but a state of being that can be achieved by reframing your thoughts and working with what you already have. It is about appreciating the present moment and finding joy in the simplest things. Your thoughts shape your reality. By changing your perspective, you can transform your life. Instead of focusing on what you lack, focus on what you have. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, live in the present. Happiness is not dependent on external circumstances, but on your internal state. It is not about having more, but about being more. It is not about doing more, but about being present. You have the power to create your own happiness. It starts with a decision to be happy, followed by a commitment to change your thoughts and actions. It requires practice and patience, but the rewards are worth it. Remember, happiness is the way. It is not something to be achieved, but something to be experienced. It is not a goal, but a way of life. So, start living the life of your dreams today. You have everything you need to be happy. All you need to do is choose happiness.